Hey guys, no video for our nature and environment in Japan playlist. Summer in Japan is hot. Okay. Anybody who's been in Japan for a summer knows that's a fact. Summer in Japan is hot. But every year you would think it was news to everybody. You'd think that nobody was aware of the fact that summer in Japan is hot, because it's sort of like experiencing it for the first time every year. So everyone, people you speak to, I'm pretty sure we made a video about this sometime in the past, everybody you speak to, you know, first comment they make is, oh, it's hot, isn't it? Atsui desu ne, atsui desu ne, so desu ne, atsui desu ne. But with a certain degree of surprise about it, you know, like they're surprised that it's hot. And it's hot every year. Lady beside me sitting here on the phone, by the way. Yeah, so every year all the people act like they're surprised, and everybody else too, like the news people, the television people, and everybody else. They always manage to come up with some sort of concerning statistics, right? So, for example, this year they said that it had been the hottest temperature recorded in June for 700 years, something like that. The hottest temperature, they recorded 40 degrees, 40 point something was recorded somewhere in central Japan. It was actually 40 degrees today in central Japan, and dry. Quite often in summer in Japan it's very humid, so when we have the rainy periods, so we had a rainy period last week where it was like 37 degrees and about 75% humidity. That's pretty harsh, because it's hard for the body to cool down when it's so humid. Today it was about 40 degrees, but it was about 35% humidity because it's been dry for the last few days, no rain. But next week it'll rain again, so the humidity will go up again. And it's pretty much the same every year. So they always manage to find some statistics. So this time they said they'd recorded the hottest temperature in June for 700 years, right? Something crazy like that. And they always manage to come up with something like that. But from the point of view of people who are living here, you know, a degree or half a degree or something from year to year, it doesn't really make much difference. The point is, summer in Japan is hot, right? It just is, you know. And central Japan and Kyoto's famous for having really, really hot summers, because it's sort of surrounded by mountains. So in summer, it just sort of really stews, you know, it gets really, really hot. But, you know, you'd swear that everybody's surprised, you know, and then they report it on the news at night, oh, today was really hot. And then always too, they report on how many people were taken to hospital due to the heat. Now, it really is concerning, and it is really sad that there's a lot of older people in particular who get really affected by the heat because it's so intense, and don't have the option to hide in air conditioning like a lot of us do, you know. So you got to feel for those guys, you know. But the one that always stands out to us is that the kids, they always continue to have their sporting events and you know, having sports practice and all that sort of stuff on these hot days. And then inevitably what happens is some kids get heat stroke and they get taken to hospital, and then it gets reported on the news. And it happens every year. You know, they say, oh, there was a sporting event today and, you know, 20 kids. And they'll show footage of, you know, 10 ambulances all lined up in a row, collecting all the kids who had heat stroke and taking them off to hospital. And it gets reported. And almost every year we see it on the news. And they're all, oh, isn't that terrible? And it's like, well, yeah, it happens every year, you know. How about we stop having kids' sporting events when it's 38 degrees, you know, or when it's over 30 degrees, or you know, something a bit more logical and sensible. But they don't. Every year they continue to have the sporting events. Gembare. You often see kids, and I've actually been taking video of this to try and get you video of this, but what you'll often see is the parents will take the kids to soccer practice, for example, and then they'll sit in the car with their aircon on. So the parents are hiding in their car with the aircon on, watching TV or staring at their smartphone, while the kids are out on the field in the sun playing soccer, right? And so that always strikes me, because it's like, yeah, the parents recognise that it's too hot to be out there in the sun, so they're sitting in the car, you know, with the aircon on, hiding. But in the meantime, they're sending their kid out, "Get buddy, go do your best," out on the sports field, where they go out there under the sun and get heat stroke, you know. And so, you know, you see the kids that do that too. We've got kids that connected to our family that go out and play soccer and sports like that, and they get like dark brown, you know, they get fried by the sun because it's so intense this time of year, you know. And the parents just send them out to go and play soccer and play other organised sports, you know. And nobody sort of seems to have the logical sense just to say, "Nah, look, it's too hot, you know, we won't play this week because it's just too hot. Let's wait until it cools down a bit." It's really only usually a couple of months, you know. It starts in about June, July, August is really intense. That's when it's at its most extreme, and then it starts to cool off again. So, you know, until May is pretty livable, and then from end of August, September, it's nice again too. So it's only really 2 or 3 months where it's really intense, where it's dangerously intense, you know. And again, if you live here and you get used to it, you know, I hide in aircon a bit. You know, aircon in the car, aircon in the house, sleeping time, it's nice to have aircon, you know. But I make a point of getting out every day and going walking and doing things out in the garden and doing things every day for about an hour, no matter what the temperature. And it's interesting, you do adjust to it. You know, when it first starts to get hot, you know, it really does beat you up. Those of you who've lived in climates like this know, you know, it takes a while for your body to adjust, where you've had, you know, you've been going through winter and cold weather, and slowly or reasonably quickly it changes to really hot weather. And at first the body sort of goes, "Oh, what's this?" you know. But if you get out in it every day and spend a bit of time in it, I'm actually on the way to the dojo at the moment, and the old guys who control this dojo don't believe in air conditioning. You know, they say that, you know, that Budo is way of the warrior, and that when there's a war, you've got to go fight no matter what the weather. So it doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold or what it is. And because this dojo is terrible, it's the hottest place in central Japan, I'm sure, in summer, and really cold in winter. You know, it's horrible. But if you do it, get out in the heat regularly, you do seem to get used to it. You know, you got to be sensible though. You got to drink gallons of water, lots and lots of water, constantly drinking water, and be careful with the sun, because it does fry you. It really fries your skin. If you've got light coloured skin, it can really fry your skin, and the heat stroke thing's a real possibility. You know, you got to be really sensible about it. So yeah, summer in Japan is hot. It's just, what triggered this was just this every year, you know, on television and on the internet, and we just get these constant stories about, oh, you know, it's so hot, and you hear it. I'm pretty sure I made a video about this in the past. It's sort of like the topic. I mean, talking about the weather, it's universal, isn't it? People do that in every country, but you sort of get a bit sick of it, you know, like, it's, oh, that's Atsui desu ne, oh, Atsui desu ne. It's like, yeah, it's hot, you know. And the funny thing is that you do get these people here who, you know, you walk into their office or walk into their house, or we know a guy that owns a juku, you know, one of the private schools, and I go visit him sometimes and walk into his office and, oh, it's hot, isn't it? It's hot, isn't it? And you look up and the aircon's turned off. It's like, oh shit, he's letting a bit of aircon seep through from one of the other rooms, and it's like 33 degrees and, you know, 65% humidity, and he's going on about how hot it is. And yeah, it's hot, isn't it? Turn the aircon on, you stingy dude. So that's what triggered this video, is just that you know, all day, every day, hearing people talk about how hot it is, and all the predictable stuff, you know, every year. And those of you who are watching this who live here, you know, you guys will be sitting there nodding, going, yeah, every year you get these really hot weather, and then you see it on the news. You know, oh, today there was this athletics event with these high school kids, and 20 got taken to hospital by ambulance. And I always get a bit pissed off at that, because it's like, yeah, the parents are sending them out there to do that. The parents are saying, get out there and do your best in the sun. and then probably hiding in the air conditioning themselves because they don't want to get out there in the sun because it's too intense. But the problem with that is that the parents won't pull their kids out. But the only way that events like that are going to get cancelled is if the old guys who organise them, and because the old guys run the place. I'm not being sexist when I say that. I'm just stating a fact that most organisations in Japan are controlled by old men. So you know, unless they cancel the event, it's going to go ahead, and the parents are going to tell their kids they're going to go and do it. You know, so yeah, the talking about it doesn't seem to change anything. So going on about how hot it is and how many people get taken to hospital, you know, that'll happen one day, and then a few days later they'll have another sporting event, and it'll happen again. It's like, well, yeah, of course, you know, of course. Once it gets over 37, 38 degrees, you know, the air temperature is hotter than your body temperature. Of course you're going to start cooking, you know, of course. You're out there playing soccer out in the open field, 38 degree heat. Yeah, of course. Or 40. You know, it gets up to 40. Sometimes a touch over 40 in central Japan. So, summer in Japan is hot. Anyway, there was that. More videos coming soon.